Keon You're listening to All New Radio here on newradio.com, 92.7 FM. Let's get Keon Road. And obviously the saga at Ohio State continues. Urban Meyer being investigated as to whether or not he reported what was happening with his wide receiver coach or former wide receiver coach, Zach Smith, and his ex-wife, Courtney Smith. Courtney Smith has decided that she's going to enter this investigation and offer some insight there. I don't know exactly what they're going to ask her, what they're going to try to know, though obviously I'm guessing that the main question is what did Urban Meyer know? When did he know it? And did he report it in an adequate time frame? So, I mean, this makes perfect sense. What made things really weird today, really, really weird, is that there are people who are outside of the University of Ohio State, and they are protesting the suspension and investigation of Urban Meyer. I'm not entirely certain what it is that they're protesting. It's not like the school's fired him. It's not like the school has canned him for the year. They are simply suspending him until this investigation has come to its conclusion. And if the investigation comes to its conclusion and we find out that Urban Meyer did in fact know and did not report, then he's gone. If it turns out that he knew but did report, then he's still there. I'm not understanding exactly what it is that people have to protest. That's where I'm confused. There's nothing to protest. But people have a strong yearning in their hearts for the game of football. And I understand, because football's a great game. I love to watch football. You love to watch football. We all love to watch football. But this is the weirdest case of football over everything, where it's just, they're trying to figure out if Urban Meyer knew that a woman was being physically abused. And people are out there protesting. Ezekiel Elliott's dad was out there. And I don't even understand what that man was saying. He was simply saying that everybody needs to know the truth. And he doesn't know the truth. That's what the investigation is for. The investigation is so that we can find out the truth. Now, if they find out the truth and they fire him regardless, well, that's not fair. But we protest then. This now is not the time to protest, clearly. We've just entered just an all-new space with this. But you've got the diehard fans. They're going to be out there. They're going to be making noise. They're going to be rowdy. I get all that. I do. But to protest at this particular point, how much do you love Ohio State football? Because people are out there protesting today in the middle of the day. Guys, it's a Tuesday. And they were protesting yesterday. Again, in the middle of the day. That's a Monday. I had to go to work. I don't know exactly what it is that they're doing. I had a job to do. Right? It's just your desire for football is so strong. I understand that this is a good season for Ohio State. They're the second-ranked team in the AP coaches poll, and a lot of people think this is a very good football team, could wind up in the playoff, could wind up winning it all, and you don't want to see your team lose. But when a man is being investigated over an issue of domestic abuse, maybe football first is not the mindset we all need to have. I was going to come out here and call it gross. I wouldn't say that it's gross. I do think that it's just a case of mismanaged priorities. People just putting priorities so I've been broke a lot. And I will know that I don't have money. Right? I need to start saving some money. But if there's a movie in theaters that I really want to go see, I'll go see the movie, even though, where's this money coming from? Seriously. And I always pay for it later. It's not like it never comes back and bites me in my rear end. I always pay for it later. We all do. And we all have different cases of mismanaged priorities. Right? You should be, if you've ever been in school, you playing your video games, watching TV while you should be doing your homework is another case of mismanaged priorities. You really ought to just be doing your work. It's clearly more important. But I got to get this Call of Duty in. Hey, don't bother me. I'm playing the Division. Right? This is where these people are. They're in a place where they know what happened to that woman, but they are concerned about the status of Ohio State football as it relates to her and not so much about her. It's just a case of priorities out of whack, and it's something that can happen to everyone. Like, I'm not trying to stand here and just condemn people for sounding insane. Okay, Ezekiel Elliott's dad did sound kind of nuts. Also, is Ezekiel Elliott's dad a preacher? Because he sounded like a preacher. He was going off on everybody, talking about ruining a man's life before we know the truth, which, again, cannot stress this enough. We do not yet know the truth. We do not yet know the truth. And there was a guy there from the university tapping Ezekiel Elliott's dad on the shoulder to let him know, like, well, maybe you shouldn't insinuate all of these things. This doesn't look good. Ezekiel Elliott is an alum of Ohio State. His dad should not be anywhere near any of this. Any of this. I mean, track down your father and just say, Dad, no, please stop. You have to stop. You are not making this better. This is one of those situations where if you're Ezekiel Elliott's dad, you really need to just consider how it is that you are making any of this better. You're not. They didn't make this better. He's making it worse. Especially if it turns out that Urban Meyer did not report. It's because this is a Title IX violation. Like, the Ohio State would have to fire him. Apart from them having to morally fire him, this would be a Title IX infraction. They would have to fire him. They would have to. If he knew and didn't report it, that his wide receivers coach was physically abusing his ex-wife, if he knew that, then they've got to fire him, and they don't even have a choice. It's not even up to the university at this point. But let's not proclaim the innocence of Urban Meyer, just like it's not fair to proclaim his guilt. Let's not proclaim the innocence of Urban Meyer before the truth comes out. Because Urban Meyer did, and I should point this out, and we all know this, Urban Meyer did lie to everybody about what he knew. That this domestic abuse case that came up, the situation that arose in 2015, Urban Meyer got on that podium at Big Ten Media Days and told the media, I don't know. This is the first I'm hearing of it. And this is clearly not the first he's hearing of it. And if he didn't report it, he's in trouble. The question is, when he was lying to the media, exactly what was he lying about? And why did he feel the need to lie? Because and that's not like lying doesn't make him automatically suspicious. And I should also say, Urban Meyer doesn't owe us an explanation of anything. Urban Meyer does not owe us an explanation. He doesn't have to tell us the truth. None of that. But I will say this, like Urban Meyer lying, that is awfully suspicious. He clearly knew something. Something was clearly up. And he needed to report that. If he told the media, yes, I knew, and I reported it, and that's all I want to talk about, then that would have been the end of that. The reason why this is going on in this particular way, as publicly as it is, I think, is because he's basically saying, like, he basically told us, that I didn't do it. I didn't know anything. Well, if you didn't know anything, then you couldn't report anything. And coaches keep things close to their chest. This is the reason why coaches lie. Coaches don't like to tell the media things. You and I have never gone through this. You and I have never opened up a newspaper as a public figure and having your name being pushed around in front of everybody. Your incentive is actually to lie. As much as I'm not excusing Urban Meyer for telling a lie there, I understand why he did it. Your incentive is to lie. Your name is just out there being pushed around. Your kids see it. Your wife sees it. You don't want that. So you just don't tell the truth. Hopefully this does not necessarily blow up in his face. And I hope he did what he was supposed to do. I really do. You're listening to All New Nuga Radio, NugaRadio.com here on 92.7 FM. Clutch with Keon Rose. Thank you for joining me today. Remember, our phone number is 423-800-8949. That is 423-800-8949. I want to jump over to not necessarily the NBA, but to LeBron. I talk about LeBron a lot. How can I not? He's been in the news a lot. Even our president is talking about LeBron. My thing is this. LeBron is putting in a bid. And I don't know if he's done this on purpose, probably, because LeBron is one of the most calculated people in sports. LeBron's putting in a bid to be the most influential athlete of all time. And I thought that was a very interesting question that was being knocked around today over at the Four Letter Network. Stephen A. Smith was talking about it. Is LeBron James the most influential athlete ever? I don't think so. He's not. He's a very influential athlete. And I think as time goes on, he has the capability of being the most influential athlete. But is he the most influential athlete ever? I'd have to say no. Jackie Robinson, for a start, is one of the most influential athletes ever. Breaking baseball's color barrier, that probably puts you up there. Muhammad Ali is an obvious. So he's the no-brainer. I think it is actually Ali. Ali has to be the most influential athlete of all time. This is a man who was so convicted about the fact that he was not going to participate in the Vietnam War. He went to jail over it. They sent him to jail for avoiding the draft. And he did not fight in a lot of the prime years of his career. Who would have done that? Because he could have gone over there, and he's Muhammad Ali. He is the champ. He's the greatest. He could have gone over there and not exactly had to fight anywhere seriously. He could have gone and done some USO kind of stuff, give the troops some morale, and then come back. But he was morally opposed to the war. So he didn't go. So he went to jail behind it. And he is a prime example of a guy that's what I think makes you an influential athlete. He put his career on the line for it. I'm not saying LeBron wouldn't, but most people wouldn't. Ali, to date, is the only guy that really put himself in that situation. And it mattered. It did. Plus what he did in the civil rights movement as well. You can't deny that Ali had a tremendous impact the way he went about doing what he did. Also, there's some other guys too. I don't think they're as obvious. Ali, to me, is clearly the most influential athlete of all time. But there are guys that I think are influential, more influential than LeBron in ways that are not at all obvious. Magic Johnson, for instance, who LeBron wants to be like, who, honestly, we've all said this for years when we've talked about LeBron as a basketball player. He's more Magic than Michael anyway. We mean that on the court. But off the court, LeBron's trying to be like Magic. He wants to be a mogul the way that Magic is a mogul. But Magic caught the AIDS virus, and this wasn't his intention, but in that way he was influential as well, because there was a lot of stigma around that virus. There's the stigma that you have to be homosexual to get this virus. There's a stigma that if you are around a person who has AIDS, you can't be anywhere near them. What if this guy sweats on me? What if he gets a cut and he bleeds in my direction? Like I can't play with this guy. But like, how are you going to say that to Magic Johnson? Magic Johnson is one of the kings of the 80s. Larry Bird is the other king. Like, how are you going to say that to Magic Johnson? How could you actually say that? He broke a barrier, and unintentionally. Right? Like a lot of that was self-inflicted, but he did break the barrier because he was Magic. There are very few basketball players as open and as gregarious as Magic. Magic Johnson with the $1 million smile. He could do it. If anybody could remove the stigma of the HIV virus, Magic Johnson could actually do it, and he did. If that doesn't make you an influential athlete, I don't know what does. Tiger Woods, by the way, is another one. Tiger Woods is one that's not necessarily obvious, because Tiger Woods had that quote in the middle of his career where he kind of divorced himself a little bit from the black community, and Tiger Woods has never been politically open. He's never been publicly open. But Tiger Woods is a guy that simply by being as great as he was, had a lot of influence. I know that I watch golf in large part because Tiger Woods plays it. Watching what Tiger has done throughout his career, the blistering pace that he was on, to try and win as many majors as he could. It's hard to tell you what it's like to be a young black kid and see Tiger Woods on TV. And then Tiger Woods has this way that he carries himself. And there's just something to that. Tiger Woods is very influential, whether Tiger Woods is trying to be influential or not. which is one of the things about being influential. You don't necessarily have to try. In fact, you really shouldn't have to try. Muhammad Ali wasn't trying to be influential. He simply didn't believe in the Vietnam War. He said, no way, I'm not going. And he went to jail. But he was Ali. Muhammad Ali defied authority as a nature of his. That's who he was as a person. Was a guy that didn't bow down to authority if he didn't believe the authority was right. That's who he was. Right? Like, if you're just being yourself, that's how to be an influential person. Like, if you try to be an influential person, who could you actually influence? You haven't even influenced yourself. Right? Like, Ali was just being himself. Magic was just being himself. Because Magic was the kind of person that he was, when he got the HIV virus, you had to drop your stigmas about that virus. Magic was just a different kind of guy. Right? The same thing with Tiger, I think. I mean, Tiger's not going out there. He's not making speeches, but just because of who he is, the success that he's had, that matters. That says an awful lot. Tiger Woods is an underrated, influential athlete of all time. LeBron is influential, but I don't think LeBron is as influential as Jackie Robinson and Magic Johnson and Muhammad Ali, or even Tiger. And then you look at some other guys who maybe aren't socio-politically as influential. But Derek Jeter is just an influential guy. He's the captain. And part of it is that Derek Jeter has concluded the entire arc of his career. So you get to see what his influence actually was. Derek Jeter and the New York Yankees were synonymous. Kobe's an influential guy. I mean, he's not a nice guy. And the way that Kobe carries himself can come off as very self-serving. But you only need to look at the NBA and see the number of players that play the game as though they are Kobe Bryant to see that Kobe is one of the most influential guys in the entire league. Russell Westbrook is one of the guys that goes to the school of Kobe Bryant. Kyrie Irving is another guy that goes to the school of Kobe Bryant. And they act like little mini Kobes in this league. They were influenced by him. LeBron's got incredible influence too. LeBron's influence has to be socio-politically, though, because none of us can play like LeBron. Kids, like Steph, is highly influential. Kids see Steph and they can think they can play like Steph. Allen Iverson, when I was growing up, Allen Iverson was then what Steph is now in terms of you saw Allen Iverson, you saw the handles, you saw that he was a 6-foot point guard finishing at the basket, finishing amongst the trees in the NBA. And you go, I think I can try and be like that. Like, everybody was trying to be Allen Iverson. The most guys that I know that were wearing sleeves and headbands back in the 90s and the 2000s when I was growing up, everybody was trying to be Iverson. He was influential, for better or for worse, by the way. The NBA changed their dress code because Allen Iverson dressed like a rapper. Allen Iverson brought hip-hop music into the NBA. We think of the NBA and rap music as going together. Allen Iverson's the reason why. We didn't always think that. Allen Iverson brought hip-hop into the NBA and changed it forever. To be an influential player, you have to be yourself. And there's some level of LeBron being himself that none of us can actually attain. Because I do think that you being, like, it has to be attainable. You can't just be yourself without doing something attainable. Like, we can all bounce back from a terrible disease like Magic. We can all stand up for what we believe in like Ali. Right? Like, we can't all do what Tiger's doing, but everybody plays golf like they can play golf like Tiger. Everybody plays golf and you step out on the golf course and you go, I don't think I can actually do this. But when you're watching it on TV, you go, maybe I can. Golf is the one sport, if you got enough money, you can play exactly where the pros are playing. We don't all get to play in Madison Square Garden, but, you can go to Shinnecock Hills. I don't know why you'd want to, but you can.
Like, to be influential, you've just got to be yourself. And when you do something that is attainable to other people. I think LeBron is far from being the most influential player ever, because what is LeBron doing? LeBron is founding a school. LeBron dunks hard on people, chases down people like a Harrier jet taking off from a tarmac. And we can't all be LeBron. That's why I don't think LeBron can be the most influential player. But is he very influential? Yes. Yes, he is. You're listening to All New News Radio, newsradio.com here on 92.7 FM.
Traffic, news, and information. Nuga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
A TVA contractor was cited for allegedly exposing workers to dangerous electric shocks. One worker was seriously injured by high-voltage power lines at the Sequoia nuclear plant in Saudi Daisy. Chattanooga-based Dayan Zimmer faces fines of over $71,000. A Saudi Daisy teen is clinging to life after an ATV accident left him hospitalized over the weekend. 14-year-old Bryson Scott was riding his four-wheeler on Old Hunter Road in Ottawa when he slammed into a utility pole. There's an event page that's set up on Facebook called Pray for Bryson. And Eastridge City Mayor Scott Miller is stepping down, telling city council members that it's time to enjoy retirement. Miller has only been the city manager for a few years, coming on board in 2016. His last day in office will be October the 26th. Val St. John for Nuga Radio, News Talk 92.7, Action News now.
Chattanooga Morning News with Russ and Val. Weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on Nuga Radio, 92.7 FM.
Chattanooga weather.
Staying warm and muggy out there through your nighttime hours. Overnight lows only 70 to 73. For Wednesday, hot, humid again, 88 to 90. But a few late day showers and storms will move in from the north and west, with showers and storms more likely Thursday and Friday, highs near 85. Tired of the pressures and hassles of car shopping? Come see what more people are making the short drive to Jackson Chevrolet Buick GMC in Lafayette, or online at jacksongm.com. That's Jackson Chevy Buick GMC in Lafayette. And I'm Sortine 12, Chief Meteorologist at your core.
Nuga Radio 92.7.
I got my business up and running, and it's already expanding. I got lucky. Lucky because I found Signal Voice and Data. Signal Voice and Data can incorporate all of my business information sharing and communications seamlessly, keep my costs down, and let me work more productively with endless connectivity no matter where I might be. That's called working smart, not hard. Go to signalvoicetn.com and bring the future of communication to your business today. signalvoicetn.com.
Hey, dude, check this out. Have you ever seen one so big?
Whoa, look at the size of that.
Look at this little itty bitty one.
Wow, that's really small.
They have them big, small, and everything in between. You'll always find the biggest variety of knives at the knife shop at Frost Cutlery in Ottawa. We're talking about over 40 brands of knives, including Benchmade, WR Case & Sons, Booker, and all the Frost Cutlery brands. Now, Sam, you've been to the cutlery shop. Is it amazing?
Spectacular. The knife shop at Frost Cutlery in Ottawa. They have knives, swords, kitchen knives, ammo, and reloading supplies, plus survival gear.
It's the knife shop at Frost Cutlery, open 7 days a week. Hey, girls, you're going to love this. We're going to the knife shop.
Hey, let's not tell them they have ammo and loading supplies.
The knife shop at Frost Cutlery opens 7 days a week. You'll always find the biggest variety of knives. You're going to love the knife shop at Frost Cutlery in Ottawa. The knife shop.
And tell them David Toulis sent you.
Do you hear that? That, my friend, is not what you're thinking. That is the new 2018 Indian Chieftain Dark Horse. Yeah, Indian. Indian motorcycle is more than a bike. It's an experience, an American icon. And Indian Motorcycle of Chattanooga is the only place you'll find their new 2018 line. Are you ready to ride? Join the club. Go to Indian Motorcycle of Chattanooga. Just look for the sign, 153 and Amnicola. Indian Motorcycle, the true American original.
You want more business. You want to increase your bottom line. You want to spend less on advertising, imaging your business, and general expenses. You need Trade Bank. When you join Trade Bank, you'll get the benefit of free advertising in our monthly magazine, tradebank.com, emails, and mailouts. Join Trade Bank now and receive your Trade Bank debit card.
with trade credits to spend any way you want. Trade Bank of Chattanooga. Call now for a free consultation. 877-2202. That's 877-2202. Trade Bank of Chattanooga.
Chattanooga Paint and Decorating would like to remind you it's so hot out there. And guess what? Your deck is taking a beating. It's probably starting to show wear. If you're hosting friends, get your deck entertainment ready with a fresh coat of stain and protect it from heat, sun, and rain with a quality sealant. If you want to get to work, Chattanooga Paint and Decorating want to help you. For exterior paint, stains, sealants, and supplies, stop by Chattanooga Paint and Decorating today on Hicks and Pike across from Valvoline or online at ChattanoogaPaint.com.
Nuga Radio.
Are you brain dead? Still voting for pathetic liberals? Take 3 hours of Sean Hannity from 3 to 6.
Nuga Radio.
Then call us in the morning between 9 and 11.
92.7
Nuga Radio.
I don't think I'm like most people. And not because I'm special, but I don't think about athletes in the same way that most people do. Most people treat athletes like their job in society is just to play sports. And that's not true. Athletes are supposed to show us what life is like. That's what a sport is. A sport is just a miniature version of what life is like. You have to work hard to have any success at it. You need to have a little bit of luck. You got to have some talent, some skill. There's just going to be some sports you can't play. I'm 5'10". I will never be an NFL quarterback. Can't happen. 5'10". I'm 5'10" and can't jump. I'm never being in the NBA. Like I've never been big hops guy. Right? Like, but you can practice shooting. You can practice ball handling. Like there are sociologists and scientists out there that say, hey, if you want to do anything in this world, you can learn it in 2 years. And nothing teaches you that quite like sports. If you put in enough time at something, within 2 years, you can be really good at it. Well, imagine if you put your whole life into it. And an athlete shows us what that's like. They show us exactly what it's like if you dedicate your whole life to something. And then maybe you can't play basketball at a professional level. I can't. Most of us can't. Maybe you can't play hockey or soccer or baseball at a professional level. But maybe whatever it is that your chosen path in life is, because we can't all do the same thing. You have to put in the necessary time and work in order to get there. The point of an athlete in society is to be real. That's their purpose. So I like it when athletes tell me the truth. A lot of people don't. People didn't like T.O. because T.O. would tell you the truth. The truth he could have sugarcoated it a little bit. He could have put it in a nicer package. But the fact of the matter is he tells you the truth. People don't like Cam. He tells you the truth. He tells you exactly what he's like. I don't want your fake humble. I don't want your fake. I don't want it. So I look at athletes that are real. And there's been a lot of talk about depression lately. And I like it because there is a stigma surrounding a lot of this stuff, especially with depression. There's a stigma surrounding depression where people feel there's something wrong with them, even though American society, we're more depressed now than we've ever been. And the fact that you have people who you see as titans, people that you see as unshakable, as letting you know that emotion is real, that matters. And because I thought about it and I wanted to talk about depression and CTE and football. Steve Smith coming out and saying he was seriously depressed for large chunks of his NFL career. Brian Dawkins during his NFL Hall of Fame speech talking about the struggles that he had with depression and the fact that he shouldn't even be here anymore. We had during the NBA season, though, and this is where I'm starting to realize this is just something that everyone struggles with. There is a connection with depression and CTE. But I want to put that off to the side and just say that's something that everybody struggles with. We all struggle with depression, some people more seriously than others. If you do, you need to see someone, you need to talk to someone, and there's nothing to be embarrassed about it. If you are in serious need of help, like you're on the edge, you call the suicide hotline, the suicide prevention hotline, and talk to somebody. Get somebody to talk you
from the ledge. DeMar DeRozan talked about it during the NBA season, and Kevin Love, they talked about their struggles with depression. And to me, that means a lot. That means a lot because it tells me that these guys understand what their purpose is. Their purpose isn't just to play ball. We enjoy it. That's what we like. They're fantastic at it, but that's not all they're here for. Like, athletes are here to show you what life is like. And that means that if you struggle with depression, you're trying to struggle with being successful with depression and doing the things that you're supposed to do that it takes to be great, but you have to do it with an extra anchor attached to your leg. I like that realness. I like that aspect of sports. LeBron was right. LeBron said that our president, Donald Trump, uses sports to divide us. But this, to me, is what the actual use of sports is supposed to be. If you are a kid suffering from depression, and I'm talking to the kids because the generation behind mine, like you talk about millennials, the generation behind mine is the most depressed generation in the history of this country, clinically. And before them, it was mine. Right? And I'm not gonna go too deep into it, but it's something I've struggled with as well. Like it's a real issue. I like athletes tackling that. And then like another thing that like we really don't talk about it at all. Postpartum depression. Women who have childbirth and then feel depressed afterwards. It's a real thing. I don't understand it. I don't understand how it works, but you can have empathy for a person like that when Serena Williams comes out and tells you, I'm struggling with this too. Serena Williams is the greatest women's player of all time. And just in the list of all-time tennis players, Serena Williams is a top 5 tennis player all time. The success that she's been able to have, how she's able to sustain it, how she plays the game physically, mentally, and then on top of that, she's into fashion. She's got the mogul side of it going down as well. She's beautiful. Like you don't think about Serena Williams as being a person who would be suffering from depression, but she does. And then she gets to say, well, this is okay. Is it because that she's sitting in a higher place than you that makes that mean more? No, it means more because here's someone that you think of as being dedicated to their craft, and the way that she goes about being successful, she looks invincible. And even when you look at a guy like Kevin Love, who doesn't look invincible, the fact of the matter is, to be in the NBA, you are the top 1% of 1% of 1%. Even if you are just okay, you're still the best in the world. And you see this guy come out and tell you, I have had really dark feelings, really dark thoughts. That means something. It does. It does. You can't deny the aspect and the impact that has on a society. I like it when athletes are real. If you're going to like this stuff, if you're going to like it when an athlete talks about depression, or when they talk about anger, or they talk about a battle that they had with addiction, Chris Carter does this all the time. If you're going to like that stuff, though, then you've got to take all the stuff. That means you do have to take Odell Beckham being Odell Beckham. Is the dude kind of ridiculous? Well, of course he is. But one day Odell Beckham Jr. might tell you something real. You might want to have been listening. You're listening to All New Nuga Radio, NugaRadio.com here on 92.7 FM. Thank you for joining me today, making me just a small part of your day. You know that I appreciate you. Want to jump to the NFL? Eric Weddle is calling RPOs a phase. If you don't know what an RPO is, an RPO is a run-pass option. When a play begins based on a look that the defense is giving, the quarterback can decide whether or not this is going to be a situation where it's a running play or a passing play for them. And Eric Weddle is an NFL safety, a very good safety, Pro Bowler, and he believes that this is a phase. He believes that RPOs are not here to stick around in the NFL. This is the read option. This is quarterbacks running. This is the wildcat. This is going to be gone in a few years, which I think is interesting because this, like, between this year and last year's draft, we have the highest number of RPO capable quarterbacks maybe in the history of the entire league. When you talk about Baker Mayfield and Lamar Jackson and last year Deshaun Watson, and RPO concepts, by the way, are invading every NFL team. Even the Patriots with immobile, statuesque Tom Brady are running plays with RPO options. They're running them. I think Eric Weddle's wrong on this one. In fact, I know Eric Weddle's wrong on this one. He's wrong. He's wrong because this is something that is versatile. You can't compare it to the Wildcat. The Wildcat's not versatile. Once you figure out what the Wildcat is, there's no way to scheme the Wildcat so that it's not stoppable. And I mean, an RPO is just, it's not asking you to play football differently than you normally play football. It's just giving the offense that much more flexibility. And if you are a team with a young quarterback, a lot of mobility, but not a whole lot of knowledge, and quarterbacks are coming into the NFL with a smaller and smaller knowledge base, you're coming from spread attacks to a pro-style offense. Not very many quarterbacks are coming in pro-style and ready. You have your few. You've got Andrew Luck, Jameis Winston, Josh Rosen, but most guys come in spread heavy, right? Baker Mayfield's not going to play for much of this season if Tyrod Taylor is healthy because he's not ready. He came from the spread-happy Oklahoma offense. He's not ready. But that's okay. And when he comes in, he's going to know how to use RPOs because that's a big part of a spread offense. Baker Mayfield's one of the best RPO quarterbacks in his draft class. He was the best. No one was better at it than him. So when you talk about what that kind of offense can do, to say that it's simply a phase, to say that it's simply a fad, I think Eric Weddle said it's going to be out of the league in 5 years. This isn't like all the other stuff. Read option, there's a very simple solution to read option. And even then, you can run read option. You just can't run it as your base offense. When the Redskins drafted Robert Griffin III, they ran read option as their base offense. Most of their looks came off of read option. Even their play action fake came off of a read option. That's a big part of what it was that they were doing. It matters a lot. And I don't think this is a phase. I don't believe that Eric Weddle is correct here. But he's a defensive guy. Defensive guys, I think, are programmed to say that. And honestly, RPOs would have to be a pain in the neck. The other thing that he said was teams that just go out there and execute, those are the toughest teams to beat. Well, duh. Yes, the teams that are toughest to beat are the ones that go out there and execute. But if the team goes out there and they know what they're doing with these RPOs, then you need to pay attention to it. When the Chargers decide that they're going to use RPOs with Phillip Rivers, who cannot run. I saw Phillip Rivers try to run forwards once. He was doing the moonwalk. He went backwards. Phillip Rivers is so slow, he goes backwards. You can't run RPOs with an offense like that if it's not working. The thing that makes the Wildcat gimmicky is that it only works with a certain kind of player. The read option, it only works with a certain kind of player. RPOs, anybody can use them. Now, I mean, everybody can't be successful with them, but everybody can use them. And everybody does. Like, this is something that's coming into the NFL in large part because it's another thing to keep the defense on its heels. But if you can run a perfect offense, then there's no defense for the perfect offense. Not in the NFL, because the offense has the advantage. They've designed it that way. That's how the rules work. But in place of not being able to run the perfect offense, adding RPOs to a system, it only helps you. It only aids you. This is not a fad. This is not a phase. This is for real. This is what it is. And it's not really going anywhere. The league is evolving. The NFL is evolving. I think it's short-sighted of Eric Weddle to say that just because like when stuff comes into the league and it's new, it does change. It does change everything. And some of it sticks, man. And you could say, well, we have to play football the way we've always played football. Once upon a time in the game of football, you couldn't pass the ball. There was no such thing as a forward pass. Football looked like rugby. Then the forward pass came along and it stuck. Some of this stuff just sticks. I think RPOs are one of those things. Eric Weddle is speaking like a guy who is annoyed by RPOs. And you know what offensive coordinators like? Things that annoy defensive players. Things that annoy defensive players. Eric Weddle seems like he's annoyed of RPOs. That's how I know they're not going anywhere. All new Nuga Radio, NugaRadio.com, here on 92.7 FM. Phone number is 423-800-8949. I'm going to jump over to the NBA now. LeBron versus the Warriors might be the best rivalry in sports. Yeah, Yankees, Red Sox, that's fun. And divisional rivalries in the NFL, almost nothing in sports gets to that. College rivalries, there is a real hatred there that simply cannot be overlooked. But in the NBA, it's hard to get rivalries going. You have to run into a team often in the playoffs usually. And just the way that the league has been lately, a lot of these run-ins have been lopsided. If you run into the Warriors a bunch, you lose. If you run into any team that's got LeBron on it a bunch, you lose. Teams that ran into the Celtics very often in the 2010s, you didn't do a whole lot of winning. The Lakers and the Celtics got to be a rivalry, sort of. They're a rivalry in that they had a lot of history in the 80s and the 70s and the 60s, but not lately. I mean, the Lakers and the Celtics don't play in the same conference. They don't play each other very often. The Celtics are close to being an NBA Finals squad. The Lakers haven't been for years, and we've seen some laughers of teams be assembled in Los Angeles. It's not a very good rivalry. Not lately. And LeBron versus Golden State wasn't ever much of a rivalry either. And I say LeBron because LeBron was always the guy that Golden State was going to be running into. And now LeBron James is out west. And I think that this is an opportunity. This is the place where this rivalry is going to elevate. They're going to see each other often. And there's going to be a lot to prove. There's going to be a lot on the table for these guys to put up and show. LeBron's not going to win a lot of these games early, but if he starts winning a lot of these games in year 2, we assume the Warriors are going to stay together forever, but I don't think that's a safe assumption. Don't just assume that. We could see teams crack one another here. And if they meet in the conference finals, conference semifinals, if they meet every year, this is going to be one intense rivalry. I can't wait for it. This is the evolution of this rivalry. They went from facing each other pretty much just in the finals year after year. The NBA would plan some games on Christmas, and those games would be hotly contested games. Those games would be big-time games. The difference is it happened once a year. You know, they play once on Christmas. They'll play once again later in the year, and you just kind of forget about it until the finals. Now, being in the same conference, who knows what's going to happen? Who knows? This is going to absolutely be crazy to me. I can't wait. This might be the best rivalry in sports because they're just going to play each other so much. They have all the history. They've got the championship history. They've trolled one another on live television. There's room here for plenty of beef. And then, of course, the Lakers have all these young players, all these young guys. You get young guys in a rivalry. I mean, you've got a recipe here for something to go truly crazy. And I cannot wait. This is the thing that I'm most excited about for this NBA season. Another NBA story that's out there, Vince Carter, the newly minted Atlanta Hawk, playing basketball because I'm guessing it's fun. It's fun. It is fun. It's just when you've been in the league 21 years, your body hurts, going to practice stinks. The Hawks aren't going to win a lot of games. Trae Young is very green. He's going to take some polish. They're going to need to build up that team further anyway. Vince Carter is playing basketball at this point because he simply likes to play basketball. But he was talking about the era that he came from. He's talking about in my era, and when you play 21 years, what exactly is your era anyway? But in my era, guys didn't chase rings. And I don't know. I mean, guys have been chasing rings. And you could say old guys chase rings. But what on earth do you call it when LeBron went to Miami? LeBron went to Miami to play with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. Why? Because the team he was on in Cleveland couldn't build him a team that could get him a ring. Wasn't that ring chasing? When the Celtics got formed, when the Celtics formed the Big Three, right? They acquire Kevin Garnett. What on earth was that? Right? Like you can't say guys never chase rings, guys don't chase rings. And also, before the contracts were longer, guys couldn't chase rings. I think this is an unfair conversation because guys couldn't chase rings at the same rate that they do now. You typically did not wind up a free agent in your prime back then. Now you do. I think if guys could have chased rings like they do now, and people made as big a deal of it then as they do now, guys would have chased rings. They just weren't the same situation. The landscape of the league wasn't the same. Listening to all new Nuga Radio, NugaRadio.com, here on 92.7 FM. Thank you for joining me today, making me just a small part of your day. You know that I appreciate you. Remember, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Stay clutch, and I'll see you in 23 hours.
David Lewis, I made the move.